What's going on, fellow weekend hunters? It is opening weekend of Missouri bow season. It is Saturday, September 17th at 5:45 a.m. I am headed to private property today. I know I said that normally you need to hunt public at the very beginning of the year, but we're going to pick Madison up later in the day, and most of the good private or the public property is 45 minutes to an hour away, and so he's going to become available right around 11-ish, and so I'll probably hunt till about 10, and then go pick him up, and then we'll head out to some public land after that this afternoon. But I am returning to the property that my bowstring popped last year, and to the same place where Madison got his doe. I've got a doe tag. I've got a buck tag. Let's fill it. Let's fill it. Opening weekend. Come on, let's go. What an exciting hunt that was this morning. It started off with that doe and her two fawns just a little after 7 o'clock. And I was watching them down to my left. Well, first of all, this day did not start off too well getting ready for the hunt. My bug spray was all out and all empty, and I thought I had checked that last night, but apparently I didn't. My monster I was drinking, I spilled on me in the car, so I had that little bit of scent going. And then as I started to go through the woods, I pulled in and I spooked up a doe as I was coming in. And so I just thought, man, everything was blown up. I started to go through the woods towards the spot I wanted to go, and I ran into some really thick stuff that I couldn't get around. And so I turned around and tried to get back out. Found my arrows laying on the ground that I had lost while coming in, so it's a good thing I did turn around. And then I looked at the clock, and it was like 20 minutes to, I don't remember, but I was running out of daylight, and so I was running out of time to get in the tree, and so I just trying to hurry. I knew where I was at on the property, and so I just got up in a tree. I knew it was kind of on a funnel, but it's not where I wanted to hunt today due to the wind blowing from the south to the north. And so I get in the tree, get situated, but this lane is technically behind me. So with the saddle, I didn't have time to clear any branches or any shooting lanes. And so I get up into the tree. The lane is behind me, and then there's the other lane to my left. And that doe and her two fawns come in a little after 7 o'clock. And I was not going to shoot a doe with her fawns this early in the season. Just, they're still young enough. Yes, they don't have their spots, but the parental instinct in me was like, no, I'll pass. There's other deer out here. It's the opening weekend. I have plenty of other opportunities to shoot a deer. And sure enough, while I was watching her, and it was a little button buck and a little doe with her, here comes the deer parade from beside me, behind me, and out in the field that was to the left. I mean, they just came from everywhere. At one point, I had 4 deer to my left within 10 yards, 4 deer in front of me at 10 yards, and 4 deer to the right of me at 10 yards. And of course, there's always the one doe that spots you. She didn't smell me. She never sniffed, never licked the air or did anything to try to smell me. She spotted me, and I think it was because of my last minute setup, hesitation on picking a tree once I got into that area. If I could have been swung around one way or the other, at least with the lane in front of me, and I've been on the other side of the tree, I don't think she would have seen me. And so my philosophy is, I'm sure like most of you, if she blows, she goes. And I could not get an arrow. Well, I had an arrow knocked, but I couldn't draw back on her because she was checking me the whole time. Down, up, stomping, doing everything she could to try to get me to move and get a response from me. And meanwhile, the other deer are all walking around me. They are just having a good time, eating, munching on whatever they could find. There was 2 bucks in the mix. There was a little 6-pointer and then a little even smaller 6-pointer. They're very thin, rack-wise, very thin over the head, not wide. But I've noticed that a lot with some of the deer around here in this area. The owner that owns this property has gotten some good bucks on camera here. They weren't in this group today, but at one point I had 12 deer within 10 yards of me. That was insane. It was just one of those things of I want to shoot one. I really want to take that doe. There was a couple of big does in there, but I really wanted to take that doe, and it just didn't. The opportunity didn't present itself. She finally got super cautious and freaked out and took off, and everybody else took off, and so I was enjoying the moment, thought that was cool, and then maybe a couple minutes later, here comes that little tiny 6-pointer and another doe, and they come in real close, and then they kind of go around me, but they never freaked out, never lifted their tail, never busted out of there. And then, so finally I was like, well, enough of this. I'm going to set up in case they come back. And so I turned around in the saddle with the trail running in front of me now, which I probably should have done in the first place, but it's pretty uncomfortable in that tree and just to stand there. The whole point is this, and like your feet are locked because you're kind of leaning a little bit with it too. But I was ready for then the next doe that came down that path, but she didn't. She ended up turning off, and she never really checked me. She never looked at me. She just kind of went a different path after the other deer. So that was it. That was the excitement for the day. That whole interaction, I don't know, maybe lasted 30 to 45 minutes. So what an exciting way to kick off opening weekend of Missouri bow season. And I'm excited. I'm going to go back and pick up Madison. He's got a golf lesson. Hashtag priorities. But I'm gonna go pick up Madison now, and we're gonna go about 45 minutes to an hour out to some public land that I'd scouted previously that you've seen on the last video where I'd encountered all those deer, and gonna go hunt out there. We think we've got a good line on possibly taking a doe. We're gonna let this place that I hunted this morning chill for the rest of the day, just because the way they took out of there. Cannot wait to go hunting this afternoon. Just an exciting time for Missouri bow season. Stick around. Let's see what else is in store for the rest of the day. Back. It is still opening weekend. It is the Saturday afternoon hunt. It is going on 2:30. We just got to the huge public land spot that I had scouted a couple weeks ago, where I saw all those deer posted in the Deadhead and Scouting video. If you haven't seen that, go check that one out. But we are now about to head in. We're gonna gear up, strap up. Anything in particular you're looking for? You just looking to put one down?
Yeah, anything. If it's brown, it's down.
Yep. Opening weekend, just want to get meat in the freezer. Like Daryl said in the video I shot with him, is why would you pass on anything the first day that you would shoot the last day?
Yeah.
So looking for a good doe, looking for a good sized buck. Not to say I'm trophy hunting, but I think I'm going to stick with 10 points or higher. And I've publicly said this now on the video, so if I don't stick to that, you can get me for that. But we're gonna strap up and load up and go out. So just stick along with us and let's kill a deer.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, so we are back after our Saturday evening hunt. We got set up. It was about 3:30, I think, before we were both fully up and set up in our stands or in our saddles. Start out. It was long. It was hot. It was, I think, in the 90s, low 90s at some point. I know for me, when the sun started getting lower, it was bouncing off the water into my face and was hitting me in the face in the tree. So I tried to position the tree in the way of that. But about 5 o'clock, 5:30ish is when it started to pick up. The deer started moving around.
Yeah.
We saw, just to start things off, there was the two at the pond.
Right.
And you saw them before I did. I didn't even notice they were there until I heard the water.
Yeah, well, I mean, I heard that big doe. She was making the weirdest sound. I don't know if they'll be able to hear it.
Yeah.
But we might have gotten some footage of it. But she sounded sick. And so I heard it even before, and I was like, what is that? Then I looked
Well, that's a cricket.
Yep, and he's right over there. So I heard her and before I seen her.
Yeah.
And then they walked out, and I was hearing them, but I got some good footage of them.
She almost sounded like a bullfrog, because that's what I thought. You asked what was that, and I said, I think it's a bullfrog.
Yeah, it was a weird sound. She sounded sick, but then she stopped eventually, and she had another big doe, but that's like the biggest doe I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Huge
those does were massive. And I think from you ranged them at 80
Yeah, they were,
yards.
well, from me. You would have been closer, but you didn't have
Mine
a good
was still
shot
about
at it.
50, but I didn't have a good shot.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, despite all the activity we saw, come fall, that area is going to be great because, especially that tree I was in, those deer, I'll have a good view. If I was in there with a rifle, I would have had a good view of everything. And I mean, you would have too at that spot.
Oh, yeah, easily.
So I think that was great. I didn't see a lot of sign of people activity.
No. I didn't see any.
And so I think a lot of people hopefully will overlook that as the season goes on just because it's a small cluster of trees.
Right.
But we ended up seeing, so those deer came out, and then the doe and the two fawns I think were next.
Right, yeah, so I was set up right on the edge of these trees, and then Sean, you were set up kind of in front of me. There's a little place, and they came, little place where they can come through. They came like behind you, and we're circling down to the pond.
Yeah.
And then I think they just got our wind.
Yeah, I think
because that wind was blowing right back. So
I think it was probably mine, just because I was originally going to set up to your right.
Yeah.
But when I got in there,
just wasn't any place to
there
set
was,
up.
yeah, I think it'll be a great spot for a ground blind.
Yeah.
I can go back in there with a ground blind with a rifle and maybe take Gabe for the youth hunt right there. But I couldn't get a good tree.
Yeah.
If I had gotten there, I would have had a good shot at those does that were there in the water. But I think they caught my wind because the next thing I know is I heard them run. I didn't even realize that they were there because we had been texting back and forth, but you texted your wife accidentally instead of me, so I didn't know they were there. And so I had no idea they were there. And so the next thing I know is I hear them take off. Yeah. But they didn't even get close enough for you to get a shot.
Well, so the tree I was in was less than ideal. I was like, it was like leaning away from me, and I was pretty comfortable kind of leaning up against a tree, but to shoot, I had two branches coming out like right here. And obviously you can't cut branches. If I could have cut branches, I would have been able to kind of swing around and get a shot on her because she was like 30 yards from me.
Oh, okay.
That mama doe, because she came in first, but you can't cut branches on public land, so I didn't, and it cost me the shot. My only shot was like over here on the right.
Gotcha. Yeah, so then they came in, and then after they spooked, you texted me and said, on your left, and that's when the two little button bucks came in under me. And I really thought about taking them, but they both had their spots on them still, and they seemed to be decently sized. They had a good color to them. Yeah. But I feel like it helped. What stopped them was I used the Evercalm scent that Daryl had talked to me about. Yeah. And so you wipe it on the side of your boots, and then you wipe it on the tree you're in. Yeah. And if you haven't heard of it, look it up. It was a great cover scent and it was long lasting. Right. And basically the principle behind it is this company takes some of the scent and tissue, hair, fiber stuff that was left behind by deer at their deer farm that they use that's like the scent of their bedding areas, and makes it into this stick that you apply, and really works to help cover your scent. Additionally, it's supposed to calm. It's called EverCalm, and it's supposed to calm the deer around you. And I mean, they chilled out. Like they were running and they stopped under me and hung out there for a few minutes, and then took off and left. And then we saw, or at least I saw, this big buck right between the 30-minute window that you have in Missouri after sunset. Probably about 200 yards away, I saw it up across the field and up a hill. Just this massive rack antlers. I couldn't really make out how big he was, just because I was looking through my tiny binoculars and I couldn't zoom in the phone camera enough to really see anything. So, but I did see him. He was moving, so we know there's a big buck, at least in that general area. But overall, it was an exciting opening day.
Yeah. I mean, with all the does, I'm sure there's some bucks in there.
Oh, absolutely.
But I will say that those deer were spooky.
Sure.
Like, you know, when I was watching the doe and two fawns come behind you, I mean, they were stopping like every couple steps and just like really jerky and like, so I don't know if somebody's been in there or they were just picking up our scent or something like that, but all the deer seem really spooky.
Yeah, well, and I imagine public land deer are a lot jumpier than some private deer where they maybe don't have as much human interaction. They understand the pressure that comes, and because deer aren't stupid, and they know when threats are there. And because I mean, how many deer did we spook? Maybe that was it. Maybe those are the ones we spooked up.
Oh yeah, I guess we haven't mentioned that yet. On the walk in, we actually spooked up. I just saw one, but it was running through, so there could have been more that might have had some small, smaller deer. But so those could have been, and they were coming back. That's why they were so spooky. So yeah.
But as far as spot location, dead on point to my scouting I did a couple weeks ago. As far as how they were going to move into the area, where they were coming. I mean, it helped being as hot as it was. It's like, the deer are going to get to water and come to water, which I'd never seen deer walk into the pond like those first deer did, but they just stood there.
Yeah, it's a pretty shallow pond, but they just walked right out in the middle of it.
I mean, I kind of wanted to do that too, just as how hot it was. But overall, it was a great opening day, opening weekend. Didn't get to hunt the Sunday hunt, but overall was just a great weekend, great hunt. We're excited about what is coming up for this season. I know I have 4 tags to fill, 2 archery any deer, 1 archery antlerless, and then 1 rifle any deer.
Okay.
So that's what I've got. Yeah. And then I think Daryl has a lot of tags. I think he's got 6 or 7 tags just for does, and we've kind of talked a little bit over the week, and he's been in the woods getting some footage for us. He didn't get any shots off on anything yet, but it's a long season. We got a long way to go. Exciting things are happening. If you like this content, please give us a like, comment, subscribe, and share. Would love to hear how your opening weekend went, your opening week. What did you do? Did you have any success? What did you learn? Is there anything you learned that you could do differently? So remember, this is a collaborative channel. We are working together. We want to see other hunters succeed. We want to see, post the pictures if you can in the comments. Post pictures of your deer, or find us on Instagram and tag us in your deer post. So many opportunities. We want to grow this channel. We are at 59 at time of recording, 59 subscribers. Let's keep it going. Let's get to 100. If we get to 100, I think we might do a giveaway or 2.
Sweet.
So share this channel with everyone, with your friends, family, anybody you know that's a weekend hunter. And let's just continue to grow and come along for the journey with us. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
See ya.